Check out this beautiful vintage cardigan. It is long sleeves. It's worn. I don't think it was worn, maybe worn once or twice. That's about it. There's barely any evidence of wear. But one thing that I did notice is that the moth really enjoyed it here and on the back here and here. It's fully lined and it's all done by hand. The detailing of adding the paillette sequins beads are all sewn in by hand. You can see all the threads underneath. It has this beautiful binding and machine made buttonholes, hand sewn beads as buttons, and there is a place where the lining has come apart, and it's hard to say if it was because of wear and tear or being trying on, but you can see that this has been whip stitched and made in China. An extra button bead was added for quality, but even the way that it was assembled is done by hand. So let's go in. Let's check this out. I'm gonna just unstitch a bit and see what is going on in this beautiful piece. Reverse engineering, I've always found fascinating. You can really learn the story of how it's been built. Anything, really. Should have been an engineer. All right. Here is just some fiber from the very likely acetate. The best way to find out is by taking a piece of this lining, submersing it in some acetone, and if it turns to jelly, it's acetate. If it becomes stiff, it doesn't. It isn't. Alright, let's just see if I can take a piece of thread from the top. A knot. There's the knot. Okay. There's a double thread that's been used for all the attaching the lining. And look at the work that clearly this was done by hand. Look at the work underneath that's been revealed. I don't want to pull too hard, but check that out. Was there a gauze? There was a gauze placed on it as like an interfacing, I suppose, to give it some stability. Otherwise, the fabric would just flop. So yeah, it gave it some stability. You can see just a light stability. And that is why it's really important to find an interfacing that is similar to the weight of the fabric that you'll be using. and that you need a little more structure to. Anything a little heavier will cause it stiffness, and interfacing that's too light won't do any good for it. So that's really interesting to see a gauze lining. I've never seen that before. Not that I've done this very often, but disassembling a piece full of handwork like this is fascinating for me. So on this top part, it looks like there's only one thread. Wonder why, where everywhere else there was 2 threads. Perhaps it was what was available at the time. So here is, there's a knot in there, and it's hidden quite well, but I've got it. And then there's this little thing, it says number 8, and it says 46. So that must be the different sizes of different places that this company sent it to. Oh, right, and this, all it says is 70% lambswool, 20% Angora, and 10% nylon. The lambswool and Angora, very nice. Okay, little shoulder seam. Let's just get rid of all the core of the lining. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna pull this thread, this double thread along the facing of the garment. Oh, it seems like I have a knot that is coming undone. Let's go find that and break it. Break it, but cut it. There we go. And this will pull, hopefully, will pull right through. Oh, it's not working. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe it will now. There we go. There's one. Okay. Here we are. Almost on the perimeter of this. Then, of course, there's the sleeve. We'll go deep into the sleeve as well. So what happens if I pull this one? Does it release? Nope. Maybe I pull the other side. Nope, there's a knot. Of course, you know, you can only, here we go, there it is. The person who sewed this knows that the length of their thread should only be so long, not the whole perimeter. Okay, so we have, here you see, there's a very loose quadrupled yarn. Look at that. One knot here, one knot there of the quadrupled yarn. I'll show you how this is done. I love this technique. And they've just attached it to the seam allowance and allowed the lining to have movement. So cool. Just love it. They did the same thing on the armhole at the probably, if this is probably the center of the height of the armhole. It could be, or it's they decided not to do it right on the shoulder seam. I don't know why. I'm sure that there's a great reason, because the experience and knowledge of where it was made in China, they have a lot of experience, and I'm sure there's a great reason for having that movement secured just off of the shoulder. So I'm going to release these quadrupled knots, the stitch, so that we can see what's going on in this sleeve. So it looks like it's only attached at the cuff. Here's our cuff. That looks like a piece of thread. Let's go in there and see what's going on. So I'm going to just release this thread. I wonder if maybe the lining is nylon. Doesn't seem like there's nylon in the yarn. The yarn, at least the yarn that's been used to assemble. Oh, look at that. We've got a machine. Didn't even look at that. A chain. Dreamy, do 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 do. My guess is the way that this piece was built, they have pieces of the garment, the front, the back, the sleeves, and each piece is beaded and work is done by perhaps a different group of people. One person has the pleasure, I suppose, of working the sleeves. One person has the pleasure of adding that gauze and working that complicated beading detail on the front. This is also a style of the way they work the assembly on haute couture. From what I've noticed anyway, not from any experience. I'm only guessing from the videos that I've seen. There are different stations, and different stations, I suppose, have the pleasure of working different skills. So in order for this chain link to come off, I have to sort of give it a little push because the fibers get caught, especially under the arm where it's a bit warm. So perhaps that's an indication that it has been worn. Maybe at a dance or a wedding, because this is beautiful. This is beautiful. This could be totally a wedding sweater, cardigan, something totally I would wear. And here we are. There is the sleeve. And, oh, the assemble goes right to the side seam of the garment. Nice work, people. Very efficient. One full swoop across the side seam. Sorry, the side seam of the body and of the sleeve instead of two lines of work, stages of work, one stage of work. This has gotten caught a little bit with the button. Sorry, the beadwork. I'm just gonna cut that. Giving me some problems here. Let's get back to where we were. Can I? out. Baby girl, do 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 do. All right. One thing that I wouldn't do though, if I were wearing this sweater, is to sit down or to hug someone. These beads would be so painful against the body. That's just my guess. I don't know if I've not had any experience with that. Oh, there's another. Oh no, I thought that was. Hi, Frank. How you doing? Frank is my tomcat. The man of the house. No, he's not the man of the house. He's the temp. The man of the house would be my son. He's the man of the house. He makes sure that certain things are done around the house. Where this guy likes to see if he can topple anything off the tables and stuff. Is that cozy, Frank? All right, here we go. Back in business. This is what happens from time to time. Cat intervention. What are your thoughts? Do you have a cat that likes to hang out or demands a weird style of affection? What I mean by that is just likes to be around, doesn't necessarily like to be touched. We have an understanding, don't we, Frank? Okay, let's get this. Let's deal with this. This yarn has a different strength, tensile strength, than this yarn. This kinky yarn here was what was braided that seamed. This yarn has a better strength than the yarn that was used to assemble turn up the ribbing to create a nice double. I'll show you what I mean by this. So when I go to break it, when I pull it, it pulls so much easier and does not give me any grief, whereas the side seam gives me grief, which I find really interesting because the body breathes, the body grows more in the horizontal than in the vertical. So if you know why the stronger yarn was used along the vertical lines, please let me know. Is it because of the woven theories of the warp and weft yarns, where the warp yarns would be the stronger of the yarns? See how it just breaks so easily? But, you know, like, it's like it bounces really nicely too. So there's that. I just don't understand. So if you want to share any theories with me, or if you know the exact reason, that would be great. Again, I am curious to know, because I do not have the answers. That's the thing about a lot of these lost skills. We don't have the answers to some of our, may I call them stories? May I call them skills, lost skills? But sometimes we have to create our own stories and answer our own questions in order to retain our culture. I wonder if sometimes, if that theory is happening with many of the indigenous peoples who are working really hard trying to maintain their language and culture, trying to teach it to their young people and to their population, no matter what the age is, actually. I think that's so wonderful that they can do that, and I admire them for it. But I wonder if some stories are just lost, and we have to try to find out, oh, this part is done with sewing. I wonder if we just have to find out through telling the story. Hence the story changes. Hence our stories change. Look at that. Interesting. I'll pull it up there. Yeah, some of this thread used to secure the beadwork on the pretty side of this garment. Oh, there's another little moth-loving bit. Was used to secure the facing, the hem facing. Back to the stories. Sometimes I wonder if cultural cooking is similar. So often I wanted my mother to teach me certain ways of her cooking a certain meal, but all I can do is try to remember what she used and try to retain the flavors and try to cook with love as she did and try to find that same feeling that I had when eating her meals and try to give that to my child. But not always are the recipes passed down, just like sewing skills, just like stories about our culture. Cooking and sewing, that's a great part of our culture nonetheless, everyone's culture. There we go. This is very interesting. Look at that. They secured a lot of these threads into this facing, and they've hidden it underneath the ribbon button facing, which is nice and sturdy. Listen to that. Okay, Frank, it's time to do another sleeve. Okay. Okay, here we go. This season, winter session at the Ottawa School of Art, I am teaching 2 really interesting courses. One is a textiles mixed media course, and we will explore the fibers, traditional fibers and traditional methods of using these fibers in making fabric, non-traditional and traditional, from felting to spinning yarn to knitting, crochet, to hand sewing, to embroidery, a whole bunch of traditional styles if we can. What I mean is, when I say if we can, is that this is a student-led course, and if the students want to spend more time in some area, we will. If the students want to explore how to break the rules, I totally recommend that, which is going to be so much fun. Oops, I want to pull this, don't I? Yeah, pull it and break it. And it is going to be really exciting because I would just love to play with fibers and textiles and see where it goes. All right, let's take a look inside here. Here again. Okay, so this shoulder, they secured the shoulder to the shoulder in the Oh no, this is a side seam, excuse me. That's a side seam. I'm just going to break it here and pull these. There we go, that's released. Let's look at the shoulder. Okay, so about 3 centimeters away from the seam, the shoulder seam, on each side, towards the front, they attached the lining to the garment, and they gave it some nice amount of ease with the quadruple thread, nice and sturdy. Okay, so we have released the lining. Excuse me, Frank. The lining is released. Okay, nice and staticky. Maybe that's the nylon, huh? Throw that down now. Yeah, scooch. Yeah, let's roll this up. So here we have Made in China tag. Lots of static. Lots of static, likely because of my backdrop of black suiting fabric, which is polyester base. So here we have grab the sleeves. Oh, yep, here we go. I'm going to leave that together. Here's that one sleeve that we took. We opened up the side seam, and it opened up most of the side seam of the body. Very interesting. I'm just going to place this back down from where we started. The second course that I'm teaching is like an anti-fast fashion course. That's what it's called. What we're going to do is explore our own sense of style. We're going to go really deep. Everyone is going to have their own make their own statement. Everyone is going to have their own favorite colors, own favorite shapes, fabrics for whatever reason. It could be your culture. It could be, of course it's your culture. It's what you're exposed to and what movies you really liked and what celebrities you admire, what books you follow, poetry that has inspired you. We're going to collect all this information, and each person is going to have their own, I guess, booklet. A booklet or poster that shows their own personality. And from this personality, we're going to explore changing some clothing to make it more reflective of our personality. And we're going to find meaning in clothing, and we're going to put back, we're going to fix and make beautiful, we're going to alter. For instance, I find this so gorgeous, so beautiful, but I wouldn't wear this piece. How am I going to reinterpret this cardigan that is about 4 sizes too big for me? The shoulder looks like it could, although it's a set-in sleeve, see the way there's these very nice stylized increases or decreases, this shaping. It's a set-in sleeve, yet it's going to be too big for me. So how can I maintain the integrity of the beauty of this garment, yet change it in order to reflect my personality? So this is what we're going to do, and in the anti-fast fashion, because we have enough in North America of clothing. We have enough clothing, we have enough textiles, we have enough plastic, we have enough things. But let's go into our wardrobe and see what we haven't worn in a long time, what we really admire, what we love. Do we have any sentimentality on any garments or accessories that we have that we aren't using as much as we have been. Can we bring those pieces back into our day-to-day? Can we find a pride in returning these pieces into our day-to-day? And this is what the anti-fashion is about. We're going to explore a couple of really key movements in fashion, in sustainability, in design, in designers. We're going to go into that briefly. But again, this is student-led, and I will give you some skills and some ideas to think about. It's going to be so exciting, and I hope that you register at the Ottawa School of Art. Go into courses, registration, type in TWISS, hit enter, and you'll find the 2 courses. There needs to be a minimum of 8 people per course for the courses to run. The Fibers and Textiles Mixed Media class runs on Wednesday nights starting, I think that's starting February 2, perhaps. Sorry, I don't have the details right in front of me. And the anti-fast fashion happens. Okay, so back to the textiles and mixed media class. The first class actually starts on a Wednesday night, yet it's 6 to 9. Let's see if I can find it. Let's go OSA, Twist Camps. Whoops, that's not it. Ottawa School of Art registration. Frank, I really need you out of here. Come on, I don't want to. Okay. The Textiles and Mixed Media intro course, intermediate, is Wednesday nights, starts January 31st. There are 8 spots remaining, and it's from 6 to 9 for 10 sessions. The anti-fast fashion course is Saturday mornings from 9 to 12. There are also 8 spots remaining. So it starts January 27th and runs till April 6th. So I hope that, geez, Frank, his bum moved the camera, you little jerk. Anyway, I hope you can make it, and I really look forward to exploring fashion and textiles. In the anti-fast fashion, we're going to be doing a lot of hand sewing, but there's also going to be some machine sewing as well. And I hope you can make it, because it's going to be really exciting. Thanks.